Lyran Transmission, the great inner transformation, silent reset greetings once again, my beloved friends. It is I, Zand, and I am filled with immense pleasure and honor to share this sacred space with you another time. My dearest ones, understand that this profound transformation, this momentous shift, first manifested within the very core of your being, long before its echoes began to ripple across the wider world. Its initial harbinger was not a dramatic external event, but rather a quiet, almost imperceptible adjustment deep within your inner gravitational field. This delicate yet powerful reorientation caused the cacophony of everyday noises to register as strangely weightless, rendered long-held familiar arguments remarkably fragile, and diminished the perceived solidity of established certainties, making them feel profoundly less fulfilling than the simple, grounding act of a single, unadorned, honest breath. This fundamental metamorphosis does not necessitate a grand, publicly acknowledged milestone or an outward declaration. Instead, it manifests as an intensely personal, internal threshold, a pivotal point where truths adopted from external sources no longer register as genuine sustenance, where knowledge acquired secondhand loses its capacity to offer true stability, where inherited explanations no longer possess the power to soothe the nervous system, and where, inevitably, the very essence of the soul begins its earnest inclination toward an experience that is far more direct, undeniably immediate, and vibrantly alive. Your heightened sensitivity to these unfolding shifts was not without profound purpose, for sensitivity was never truly intended to be a heavy burden upon your spirit, but rather it was always inherently designed to serve as your unerring, luminous compass. A transformation of this magnitude manifests because a collective consciousness has, at long last, reached the culmination of its engagement with a particular, restrictive kind of intellectual and spiritual diet. This sustenance consisted largely of a superficial consumption, a diet comprised of borrowed quotations, rigid doctrines, fleeting headlines, and pre-programmed cultural scripts, a continuous cycle of repeating the words of another with an outwardly projected conviction, all the while leaving one's own authentic, innermost being utterly untouched and unactivated. Indeed, words possess the power to gently guide you to the threshold of a new doorway. They can meticulously position you by the tranquil banks of a flowing river. They can even eloquently point the way toward a majestic, sunlit summit. In their nascent stages, words serve a valuable, foundational purpose, much like temporary scaffolding. And such scaffolding, by its very nature, holds immense utility, for any true beginning invariably necessitates a supportive underlying structure. However, a truly living, evolving being is destined to flourish far beyond the confines of mere scaffolding. Your deepest flourishing occurs within the crucible of lived experience, through profound realization, and in the breathtaking discoveries that organically well up from within your very core, manifesting as an undeniable knowing that gently yet firmly settles into the fabric of your physical body, the wisdom of your heart, the integrity of your spine, and the rhythm of your conscious breath. This monumental shift has come to pass precisely because humanity, as a collective species, has now matured sufficiently to discern, with undeniable clarity, the profound distinction between merely reiterating a truth and authentically embodying and living that truth. Those brave souls, affectionately known as starseeds and light workers, have consciously undertaken and carried a uniquely vital form of energetic work throughout this significant planetary passage. And it is important to note that the nature of this profound work has seldom, if ever, been overtly loud or outwardly dramatic. Their profound service has manifested as a steadfast maintenance of inner coherence amidst the fiercest storms, an unwavering steadiness preserved even within the heart of star contradiction, a gentle yet persistent warmth sustained despite widespread collective agitation, and an unshakable devotion maintained even through periods of profound uncertainty. Consider the noble lion. It does not engage in futile arguments with the swirling wind. Instead, with majestic grace, it maintains its powerful posture, preserves its regal presence, and steadfastly holds the immutable line of integrity that, in its silent yet potent emanation, subtly informs and shapes the very energetic field encompassing it. Your own energetic field has consistently performed this very task, even during those challenging days when your conscious mind relentlessly sought external evidence and your emotional landscape yearned for reassuring security. The unwavering, coherent presence you so diligently stabilized served as a resonant tuning fork, and all who had the privilege of drawing near could instinctively feel something deep within their own being stir, recognizing and remembering its inherent original alignment. Indeed, a profound weariness with endless debate and intellectual sparring has emerged as one of the most invaluable, unexpected gifts of this current transformative era. This very fatigue, far from being a weakness, has acted as a vigilant guardian, gently yet firmly ushering you away from unproductive mental cycles and steering you with increasing precision toward the clarity of direct, embodied knowing. A mind truly weary of incessant mental gymnastics ultimately begins to relinquish its insatiable appetite for endless contrast and perpetual comparison. And in this profound act of letting go, a sacred space invariably opens a space where something far more authentic and intrinsically truer than mere subjective opinion can finally take root and flourish. Thus, a collective consciousness embarks on a powerful trajectory, shifting from a superficial reliance on mere agreement towards a profound embrace of genuine realization. A transition that occurs precisely when the pursuit of external consensus loses its allure and becomes utterly uninteresting, and instead, the undeniable sensation of resonance emerges as the singular, most essential guiding force. Resonance, you must understand, is far more than a simple preference or a fleeting liking. It is, in its purest form, the inherent language of perfect alignment. Resonance manifests as the undeniable yes resounding through your very physical body, the crystal clear clarity emanating from your heart center, and the unwavering, constant warmth that signifies the soul's deepest knowing. When this profound resonance truly becomes your guiding compass, the contentious hooks of arguments inevitably lose their grip and their power, precisely because your entire energetic system begins to seek an inherent, integrated coherence rather than striving for external victory or conquest. Indeed, this represents a period that is simultaneously exhilarating and, at times, profoundly perplexing for a species that is rapidly awakening and rising into its greater potential. Long, long ago, in epochs preceding the construction of any grand temples, before humanity even conceived of assigning names to the celestial stars, and well before collective memory fractured and distorted into the narratives of myth and recorded history, the human form was originally designed with an exquisite purpose to function as a vibrant, living interface, serving as a dynamic conduit between the consciousness of Gaia and the boundless energy of the source envisioned as a bridge, facilitating connection rather than a mere container enclosing it, and operating as a sensitive receiver of subtle information rather than a static holder of fixed forms. And within this pristine, original model, Its very operation was orchestrated through an inherent, organic coherence existing between profound inner perception and deeply embodied knowing. In this harmonious configuration, the pineal center and the heart center did not function as isolated or disparate faculties, but rather seamlessly merged as a single, unified, and extraordinarily potent instrument for authentic guidance. During that luminous era, true guidance was never sought through external authority figures or rigid, codified doctrines. Instead, it was palpably felt and directly experienced through the physical body as an unmistakable sense of alignment, through the heart center as an intrinsic, deeply felt resonance, and through clear inner vision as an immediate, undeniable knowing. This gave rise to a sophisticated form of inherent intelligence that utterly transcended the need for any intellectual interpretation, precisely because it was wholly lived and experientially integrated, rather than merely explained or theorized. This primordial model significantly predates what subsequent civilizations would come to refer to as Atlantis, for it truly belonged to an epoch that existed prior to the emergence of any rigid power structures, before the establishment of hierarchical knowledge systems, and long before the very notion that wisdom could ever be owned, commodified, or guarded. It manifested and expressed itself through an elegantly simple, yet profoundly interconnected, relationship with the Earth's delicate planetary grids, where human consciousness functioned not as a domineering or controlling force, but rather as a sensitive, responsive tuning mechanism. Gaia's intricate grids were far from being mere, energetic pathways traversing the planet's vast surface. Instead, they constituted vibrant, living, communicative fields, inherently designed and programmed to sensitively respond to the presence of coherent beings. Consequently, when a human nervous system achieved a state of deep and natural alignment, the planet itself would stabilize with greater ease and grace, responding organically to the power of pure presence rather than requiring external manipulation or forceful intervention. In that pristine state of being, the human form did not seek to laboriously manage or control external reality. Rather, it gracefully participated within it, allowing an innate, universal intelligence to freely flow through its being, as opposed to attempting to direct it outward through strenuous individual effort. The pineal gland, within this original, magnificent configuration, did not merely operate as some abstract, mystical concept or an object of speculative thought. Instead, it functioned as a highly sophisticated biological receiver, inherently capable of perceiving subtle shifts in time, discerning dimensional orientations, and grasping nonlinear truths. Concurrently, the heart center acted as the crucial, stabilizing translator, diligently ensuring that all incoming perception remained profoundly coherent, deeply compassionate, and beautifully integrated, thus preventing it from becoming fragmented, disorienting, or overwhelming to the individual. When these two vital centers operated in perfect, synchronized unison, the expansive nature of perception never exerted a force that pulled consciousness upward and away from its grounded embodiment. Conversely, embodiment did not weigh down or constrain perception into a narrow, survival-oriented focus. Rather, these two dynamic centers functioned seamlessly as a singular, intelligent circuit, allowing profound insights to gently yet firmly land and integrate within the physical body, thereby enabling the body itself to remain beautifully responsive and open, rather than rigid and defensively reactive. However, as this exquisite inner coherence gradually diminished over vast epochs of time, and as human consciousness became progressively more externalized, severely fragmented, and excessively dependent upon external sensory confirmation, the planetary grids themselves began to subtly distort. This distortion occurred not out of any malevolent intent, but purely through a profound state of disuse, for these intricate grids inherently respond to resonance. And resonance, by its very nature, absolutely requires conscious and active participation. When the sacred portals of inner perception subsequently closed, the human form consequently lost its inherent capacity to communicate clearly and harmoniously with the vast planetary field. And in this profound disconnection, the subtle art of intuitive guidance was slowly but surely replaced by rigid external governance. Innate intuition yielded to explicit instruction, and authentic communion tragically gave way to the imposition of control. The legendary fall of Atlantis, therefore, did not result from a singular, dramatic catastrophe. Rather, it came about precisely because this fundamental inner coherence fractured and disintegrated. And it is an immutable truth that once such profound coherence is utterly lost, even the most technologically advanced and seemingly robust systems inevitably descend into instability. What is gracefully unfolding in the present moment is not merely a reconstruction of ancient past glories or forgotten eras. Instead, it is nothing less than a grand reinstallation of humanity's original, pristine operating system, a process initiated not by external technology or elaborate ritualistic practices, but rather by the silent, yet profoundly widespread, reactivation of heart-pineal coherence resonating deep within the entirety of the human energetic field. This profound reactivation, for the vast majority, does not manifest as a dramatic, earth-shattering event. Conversely, when you consciously choose to live from a place of unconditional love, you will miraculously discover countless opportunities to express and experience more love. And when you exist in a state of deep inner coherence, you will naturally begin to attract and draw forth experiences and circumstances that perfectly align with and reflect that very coherence. It is imperative to understand that this principle operates not as a system of moral judgment or retribution, but rather as a fundamental, impartial, and intricate set of energetic mechanics inherent in the fabric of reality itself. Your individual energetic field acts as a sophisticated tuner, precisely calibrating your perception of reality, and this calibrated perception, in turn, profoundly shapes and defines your entire lived experience. The monumental shift that humanity is currently undergoing fundamentally involves a conscious awakening to an understanding of this precise energetic mechanism. Following this awareness, the next crucial step is the deliberate and intentional choice to strategically invest one's energy, attention, and creative power into cultivating and co-creating realities that intrinsically support liberation, foster profound clarity, and deepen authentic communion. In this transformative era, the conscious and deliberate act of withdrawing one's precious energy and attention from patterns of distortion, illusion, and untruth emerges as one of the single most powerful and impactful actions one can undertake. It is vital to clarify that this conscious withdrawal of energy is by no means a passive act of avoidance, denial, or disengagement. On the contrary, this strategic withdrawal is a profound declaration and embodiment of your inherent sovereignty, reclaiming your energetic autonomy. This means you consciously cease to energetically feed or sustain those patterns, narratives, or systems that you have spiritually outgrown. You withdraw from engaging in futile debates or arguments about structures and beliefs that are already in the process of an inevitable collapse. And most powerfully, you strategically withhold your precious attention from anything that thrives specifically by virtue of your energetic engagement. Instead, you consciously and intentionally redirect your valuable energy back to your own inner center, to the profound wellspring of your being. You choose to strategically invest your focused attention into cultivating your personal spiritual practice, nurturing your authentic community connections, expressing through your unique art, offering your heartfelt service, engaging in your own deep healing journey, fostering your true relationships, deepening your sacred connection to the living earth, and strengthening your intimate communion with the universal source. As this crucial shift in energetic investment occurs, patterns of distortion and untruth inherently weaken and lose their potency precisely because their sustaining fuel supply is redirected. In response to this fundamental repatterning, the larger magnetic field around you begins to profoundly reorganize itself. Outdated structures, both internal and external, lose their energetic density and dissolve. Simultaneously, new, more aligned pathways effortlessly emerge and become visible. You will experience an exponential increase in meaningful synchronicities. Time itself will feel more fluid and less linear, and your stable, coherent inner state will begin to guide you with remarkable clarity and precision. This remarkable phenomenon describes what, in Lyran language, is understood as the quantum field effect. It reveals a fundamental truth: the field of reality, in its exquisite sensitivity, responds far more powerfully and profoundly to the quality of your conscious presence than it does to strenuous, effort-driven action alone. Therefore, your sustained and integrated presence transforms into your primary creative leverage, allowing you to influence and co-create reality with unprecedented ease. Any necessary effort, when informed and guided by this profound presence, becomes remarkably light, efficient, and imbued with grace. Through this direct experiential understanding, you come to deeply realize that the attempt to exert external control is invariably a heavy, often futile endeavor, while the cultivation of internal coherence is an inherently powerful, effortlessly expansive, and truly transformative force. All these preceding shifts and realizations meticulously prepare you for the profound role you inherently embody and already carry within you, that of a starseed and light worker. In this capacity, you serve as a vital, living anchor of elevated frequency, grounding higher consciousness into the terrestrial plane. Once you have attained a deep understanding of these fundamental magnetic mechanics of reality, you will instinctively recognize the immense value and potency of unwavering steadiness, sacred secrecy, and profoundly embodied clarity. This is because your entire life, lived in alignment, inherently transforms into a potent, coherent signal that actively reorganizes and elevates the energetic field encompassing you. Your inherent role as a starseed is not merely an honorary title or a label to be claimed. It is, more accurately, a specific and deliberate posture of being. It represents a conscious way of inhabiting and moving through the world that enables you to maintain your intrinsic inner center intact, stable, and undisturbed, even amidst the inevitable and often dramatic shifts occurring in the external landscape. In previous paradigms, many erroneously assumed that effective leadership inherently necessitated a loud voice, assertive declarations, or a commanding presence in terms of volume. However, within this recalibrated energetic field, true, impactful leadership emerges organically and powerfully through the cultivation and consistent radiation of deep inner coherence. The most profoundly powerful and impactful transmission you can offer is the vibrant emanation of a coherent nervous system, a crystal clear and open heart, a deeply quieted and discerning mind, and a centered presence that naturally radiates genuine warmth without any underlying neediness, coupled with an intrinsic strength that is utterly devoid of aggression or force. A majestic lion, secure in its inherent power and identity, feels no compulsion to rush forward and prove its worth or dominance. Its quiet, unwavering standing, its very presence and posture of being carries a far more profound and impactful message than any vocal declaration or roar could ever convey. Your overall effectiveness and capacity for positive influence naturally amplify when your personal energetic field becomes exquisitely simple, uncluttered, and profoundly stable in its resonance. While visibility can indeed manifest as a valuable gift when it arises authentically and organically from your inner alignment, it is crucial to recognize that the most profound and foundational work often takes place offstage, within the quiet, sacred, and often unseen inner spaces where truth is patiently cultivated and allowed to take deep, enduring root. In this context, secrecy is not to be misconstrued as an act of concealment or deliberate hiding. Rather, it is an expression of profound sanctity, a sacred honoring of the delicate and tender nature of nascent truth. Just as a tiny seed quietly germinates and grows robustly within the dark, rich soil, drawing nourishment from life's hidden, intelligent forces, so too do your most profound inner realizations mature and strengthen in a similar, quiet, and protected manner. When a nascent truth first begins to stir and take root within your being, it requires vigilant protection. You safeguard its delicate growth through periods of profound silence, through consistent inner practice, and through the patient, unwavering act of staying. You consciously allow this truth to deepen its roots and fully integrate within you before it is prematurely given form through language. You permit it to become a lived demonstration in your own reality before it is offered as a teaching to others. Authentic truth profoundly gestates and matures within the sacred container of quietude. This intentional quietude provides the necessary temporal space for truth to transcend being a mere intellectual concept and to fully permeate into a deep, cellular knowing throughout your entire being. Quietude, furthermore, enables your intricate nervous system to gently yet thoroughly recalibrate and integrate new frequencies. Crucially, quietude actively clears your energetic field of distracting outer noise and incessant chatter, thereby allowing your subtle, yet powerful, inner guidance to become distinctly audible and clearly perceived. Once truth has been allowed to fully mature and deeply root itself within the nurturing embrace of quietude, it then expresses itself organically and effortlessly through your life in myriad beautiful forms as profound inner harmony, as genuine gentleness in your interactions, as unwavering courage in your convictions, as the establishment of clear and healthy boundaries, as joyful and selfless service, as inspired and authentic artistic creation, and as deeply aligned and resonant. Relationships, the world, in its inherent sensitivity, instinctively perceives and responds to this authentic manifestation, precisely because true demonstration communicates profound truths on subtle frequencies that extend far beyond the limitations of mere words or intellectual articulation. A lived demonstration inherently communicates with far greater depth and impact than any verbose explanation could ever hope to achieve. While an explanation may successfully inform the rational mind, and the mind, in turn, may engage in arguments or intellectual debates, a genuine demonstration speaks directly to the entirety of your being, and in response, your entire being immediately and unequivocally recognizes its truth. When you truly embody a state of profound inner peace, your very presence subtly grants others an implicit permission to relax, to let down their guard, and to soften their own inner rigidities. When you radiate authentic clarity, others sense an invitation to release their own burdens of confusion and mental fog. And when you embody unwavering devotion, others feel a profound permission to trust and honor their own inherent inner hunger and yearning for connection with the divine source. This is the organic, non-coercive mechanism through which awakening gracefully propagates throughout the collective. One individual's coherent energetic field naturally extends an invitation to another to align with a similar state of coherence. In essence, your very life, lived in profound alignment, transforms into a powerful, vibrational tuning fork, subtly influencing and harmonizing those around you. Through the profound act of embodying coherence, you empower others to spontaneously discover their own innate truth, not through explicit instruction or didactic teaching, but through the subtle, yet powerful, energetic resonance emanating from your being. This represents a fundamental and irreversible aspect of the grand evolutionary shift that humanity has consciously embarked upon. The outdated era of attempting to persuade others through force, argument, or manipulation rapidly loses its relevance and efficacy, while simultaneously, the emergent era of inviting and inspiring through the subtle, yet potent, language of frequency and resonance profoundly expands and gains ascendancy. Your very presence, when anchored in coherence, becomes a living, silent invitation to profound inner discovery for all who encounter you. Individuals who are drawn into your proximity will often feel their own innate inner knowing stir and awaken in response to your resonant field. Furthermore, even those who may remain physically or emotionally distant from you still receive the benevolent benefit of your coherent field, simply because true coherence inherently radiates its harmonious influence outward, without discrimination. Your authentic and vital work, therefore, is emphatically not to convince others of your truth or to engage in persuasive efforts. Instead, your sacred responsibility is simply to consistently remain deeply aligned and in unwavering harmony with your own inner truth. This profound and silent anchoring of your being within coherence possesses the inherent power to gently yet effectively dissolve patterns of distortion and untruth, all without the need for direct opposition or conflict. This is because any form of opposition, by its very nature, carries an energetic charge, and ironically, that charge often inadvertently fuels and strengthens the very structures it aims to dismantle, perpetuating the cycle of resistance. Conversely, coherence acts as a powerful dissolvent of distortion by strategically depriving it of its energetic fuel source. Simultaneously, it offers a palpably stronger, cleaner, and more attractive frequency for the collective energetic field to naturally attune to and align with, thereby leading to a systemic shift. This, then, embodies the profound lion's medicine of formidable strength that is expressed not through aggression or domination, but as unwavering steadiness, as a deep, grounded presence, and as an unshakable, heartfelt devotion to truth intimately lived and embodied within your physical form. Through your consistent and profound inner alignment, you become a powerful, stabilizing force for the transitioning energetic fields across the entire planet. Your coherent presence actively contributes to the stabilization of families, to the harmony within communities, to the functionality of workplaces, to the vitality of the land itself, and even to the often turbulent collective emotional currents that pervade humanity. Many of your inherent and subtle gifts operate primarily through the delicate tapestry of the subtle, energetic bodies. You possess the innate capacity to effortlessly infuse environments with a profound sense of calm, to bring clarifying insight to complex conversations, to offer a deep sense of safety and regulation to agitated nervous systems, and to imbue moments that might otherwise have devolved into harshness or conflict with a gentle, healing warmth. This quiet, subtle work is, in fact, truly profound and essential labor. It is precisely this foundational work that creates the necessary conditions for larger, more expansive transformations to occur within the collective, crucially enabling these shifts to unfold gracefully and constructively, without descending into catastrophic collapse or widespread breakdown. This consistent anchoring of your being in coherence naturally and progressively prepares your entire system for an even deeper activation of your innate faculties. This includes the sacred union of your refined inner vision with the profound wisdom of your heart knowing, the beautiful maturation of contemplative meditation into a state of direct, living communion, and ultimately, the emergence of a deeply lived and embodied sense of oneness that is so self-evident and complete that it requires no external explanation or intellectual validation. As your personal spiritual practice deepens and matures, the very nature of meditation itself undergoes a profound transformation, evolving from a striving act of doing into a gentle, receptive, and expansive state of allowing. It thus becomes a continuous, effortless return to the eternal present moment, an unforced and gentle release from the magnetic pull of past regrets or future anxieties. It is a peaceful settling into the profound, spacious awareness that remains lucid and ever-present when the incessant stream of mental thought naturally quietens and recedes. Within the boundless expanse of that quieted awareness, an entirely new and expanded form of perception becomes readily accessible to you. Your inner vision profoundly opens, allowing you to perceive subtle realities, and your intuitive inner knowing clarifies with remarkable precision and depth. This profound internal opening is often colloquially described as pineal activation, and indeed, this common description aptly points to a very real and significant physiological and energetic shift occurring within your being. With this activated perception, your understanding expands far beyond the confines of linear interpretation and three-dimensional analysis. You begin to intuitively sense and intimately perceive the subtle, intricate architecture of reality itself, the fluid nature of time, the vibrational qualities of resonance, the underlying patterns of energetic truth, and even the precise energetic signature of a choice, sensing its potential outcome long before it physically manifests. However, it is crucial to understand that inner vision, in isolation, does not inherently bestow true wisdom. Authentic inner vision only truly blossoms into profound wisdom when it is harmoniously united and integrated with the profound intelligence and coherence of the heart. For the heart itself is the primary vessel that inherently carries and radiates coherence. It is the heart that unerringly recognizes and affirms true alignment. Moreover, The heart possesses the profound intuitive knowing to discern with absolute clarity the difference between a vision that merely flatters the ego's desires or illusions and one that genuinely serves the highest truth and the greater good. When the faculties of the heart and inner vision move and operate in perfect synergy and harmony, your internal guidance becomes exquisitely clean, pure, and unambiguous. Your rational mind, no longer compelled to compete for its former authority, naturally grows quieter and more serene. Simultaneously, your physical body begins to profoundly relax and release tension, sensing and responding to the authentic and sovereign leadership that now emanates consistently from within your integrated being. The profound union of these awakened faculties, heart, and inner vision restores your inherent, pristine ability to receive divine guidance, not as a fragmented process of intellectual analysis or laborious interpretation, but as a direct, intimate, and living communion with the Source. Within the sacred space of this profound union, the constrictive sense of separate, ego-driven identity begins to gently yet perceptibly dissolve, expanding into a boundless experience of pure being. This is not a dramatic or sudden disappearance of who you are, but rather a silent, graceful, and deeply liberating release from the myriad attachments that have historically defined and limited your sense of self. Consequently, the roles you play in life become imbued with a newfound lightness and flexibility, and the personal narratives you once clung to become far less binding or restrictive. Your very self-definition, once rigid and narrowly confined, expands and becomes wonderfully fluid and expansive. You remain undeniably and exquisitely fully human in your physical form and earthly experience. Yet simultaneously, you intimately feel your profound essence extending far beyond the limitations of your personal human narrative and temporal existence. This is the profound and undeniable experience of true oneness. Your entire being feels utterly infused and permeated by the boundless presence of the Source. And this sacred infusion becomes an experiential reality far more potent and true than any external label, role, or identity you might consciously carry. In these sublime and expansive moments, the illusion of separation, with its historical persuasive power and perceived reality, utterly loses its grip and ceases to hold any compelling sway over your consciousness. Truth itself transitions from being an external object to be perpetually sought after, to an intrinsic reality that is deeply and authentically lived. While the act of seeking undeniably holds its essential place in earlier stages, as it powerfully creates momentum and propels spiritual evolution, this active seeking ultimately culminates and ceases when truth transforms into the pervasive and omnipresent atmosphere of your very being. You relinquish the anxious pursuit of external certainty, no longer needing to chase after elusive answers. Instead, you consciously choose to rest in a state of profound calm and unwavering trust, abiding in an intimate, sacred relationship with the living, pulsating presence of the divine that resides deeply within your own being. You continue to learn, to refine your understanding, and to grow in consciousness, yet the frantic, often anxious edge that once characterized these pursuits completely dissolves, replaced by a gentle, expansive curiosity. You cultivate an unwavering trust that all that is truly essential, all authentic guidance and profound insight, unfailingly arrives through the clear and sacred inner channel of your own being. When your energetic field is cultivated to be open and profoundly receptive, your entire life spontaneously transforms into a continuous, vibrant dialogue and co-creative exchange with the boundless source, rather than remaining a strenuous, effortful struggle to constantly seek and find external answers. The reliance on discrete, external experiences progressively gives way to the profound, continuous state of pure presence. And this sustained presence, in turn, gracefully yields to an expansive, silent, and direct inner knowing. In the nascent stages of spiritual exploration, transformative experiences may often manifest as intense, episodic peak moments of heightened awareness or profound insight. However, in the mature and integrated stages of spiritual development, these peaks gracefully transform into a steady, abiding state of elevated consciousness. The initial effervescent sweetness matures into a quiet, pervasive joy. Dramatic revelations become gentle, continuous unveilings, and divine guidance manifests as immediate, intuitive knowing, integrated seamlessly into daily life. You come to profoundly sense that the most potent and transformative prayer is not articulated through numerous words or elaborate petitions. Rather, it is an awakened, living recognition of the divine I that resides intrinsically within you, that eternal, immutable center of being that is closer to you than your very breath and more intimate than your own hands and feet. When you consciously choose to deeply rest and abide within that profound recognition, your entire energetic system effortlessly opens and expands, allowing divine guidance to arrive as a natural, unforced, and continuous flow of intuitive knowing and perfect timing. The illusion of separation gradually yet definitively fades from your awareness, precisely because your fundamental identity undergoes a profound and liberating shift. Instead of perceiving yourself as a small, isolated self perpetually seeking life and fulfillment, you begin to intimately identify as life itself, expressing and manifesting through your unique form. You experience yourself not as a distinct entity separate from the boundless source, but rather as an integral, dynamic flow and vibrant expression emanating directly from the source itself. Crucially, this transformative shift does not diminish or eradicate your unique individuality. Quite the contrary, it profoundly dignifies and elevates it. Your distinctive individuality thus becomes a pure channel for the source in its magnificent expression, the source in its unique form, the source in its singular tone, the source expressed through your creative art, and the source manifesting through your dedicated service to the world. This profound and embodied recognition inherently carries an immense strength, possessing a formidable lion's edge, precisely because it powerfully restores your inner fortitude, your inherent dignity, and your unwavering courage to authentically live and express as the magnificent, divine being that you truly are. This deep internal activation fully restores your innate capacity for an unbroken, direct, and intimate communion with the universal source, experienced not as an abstract concept, but as a vibrant, continuous, and deeply lived reality. This profound communion naturally blossoms into an abiding, effortless state of being when your energetic field is maintained in pristine clarity. Your spiritual practice is consistently cultivated with unwavering steadiness. Your heart remains expansively open and receptive, and your mind achieves a state of deep, tranquil quietude. From this state of continuous communion, you effortlessly receive clear divine guidance, profound inner peace, crystalline clarity, impeccable timing for all actions, and precise insight into your next unfolding step. As this sacred communion stabilizes and deepens within your being, you simultaneously begin to recognize, with increasing clarity, the paramount importance of maintaining meticulous energetic field integrity. This is because subtle perception, with its exquisite sensitivity, flourishes optimally and most profoundly within a pristine, clean, and undisturbed inner environment. Just as a seed quietly and robustly matures within the fertile darkness of the soil, so too do your most profound inner realizations mature and ripen within the sanctuary of silence. Silence graciously provides the essential inner space for truth to take deep, unshakable root within your being. Moreover, silence acts as a vigilant guardian, protecting your tender inner discoveries from the temptation of prematurely becoming external performances or self-serving displays. Periods of sustained silence further enable your intricate nervous system to gently and thoroughly integrate new, higher frequencies of energy without the constant interruption and overwhelming stimulation of external input. This crucial understanding underscores precisely why meticulous energetic hygiene becomes an absolutely essential practice in this current transformative passage. Your energetic field, now in a state of profound awakening, is inherently sensitive. This heightened sensitivity is not a vulnerability, but a precious gift, and it flourishes and operates optimally when the inputs you allow into your awareness become deliberate, conscious, and highly intentional. The practice of sacred secrecy profoundly supports the cultivation of inner depth. Here, secrecy is not equivalent to concealing or denying. Rather, it is a profound act of honoring the nascent, delicate nature of your inner spiritual growth. It is an intuitive recognition that truly sacred things, much like a precious seed, require a period of undisturbed privacy and quiet gestation in order to fully mature and blossom into their full potential. When you are graced with the reception of a luminous truth that deeply opens and expands your heart, the first crucial step is to allow that truth to fully inhabit and live within you. You breathe with it. You walk with it through your daily life. You sleep with it. You consciously permit it to encounter and transform your relationships, your ingrained habits, your underlying fears, and your deepest desires. You allow it, in essence, to become profoundly and completely embodied within your very being. Then, organically, over the course of time and through consistent integration, that truth naturally expresses itself through the fabric of your lived experience as an undeniable demonstration. And that powerful, embodied demonstration inherently becomes a far more potent and transformative teaching than any eloquent speech or intellectual discourse could ever hope to convey. Incessant and overwhelming external input invariably fragments your inner coherence, dispersing your energetic focus. Your intricate system possesses a finite capacity to digest and integrate information and frequencies at any given moment. Attempting to absorb too much simultaneously leads to energetic disarray. When you relentlessly consume an endless stream of external content but information, entertainment, or opinions, your subtle inner voice becomes progressively harder to discern and hear. This is because your energetic field becomes saturated and cluttered with a cacophony of other people's signals, making it difficult to tune into your own authentic frequency. This operates according to a profound yet elegantly simple universal law. Inner clarity naturally increases and sharpens in direct proportion to the reduction of inner and outer noise. And it is vital to understand that noise encompasses far more than just audible sound. It includes pervasive emotional charge, a sense of unwarranted urgency, relentless external stimulation, and the constant influx of disparate opinions. Therefore, the practice of meticulous energetic hygiene fundamentally involves the conscious, deliberate, and discerning choice of precisely what you permit to enter and occupy the sacred space of your awareness. Maintaining impeccable field integrity actively supports and facilitates your essential transition from mere intellectual knowledge or conceptual understanding to the deep, transformative realm of lived, embodied truth. While intellectual knowledge possesses the capacity to rapidly accumulate a multitude of ideas and concepts, the realization of authentic, lived truth inherently demands a profound process of deep integration. And this essential integration, in turn, necessitates dedicated time, periods of restorative silence, unwavering devotion to your inner path, and consistent, disciplined practice. Consequently, your spiritual practices gradually transform their focus, shifting from an external pursuit of collecting ever more methods or techniques towards an internal, profound deepening of one singular, foundational relationship, your intimate connection with the boundless source. The very nature of prayer evolves, transitioning from supplicating act of asking to an awakened, reverent act of recognizing the divine presence already within. Similarly, meditation ceases to be a strenuous, goal-oriented striving and transforms into a gentle, expansive state of allowing your true being to effortlessly emerge. Your daily existence transitions from a perceived struggle or fight against the relentless currents of time to a harmonious, synchronous moving with its natural, effortless flow. In this awakened state, the profound and intrinsic nourishment offered by simplicity is rediscovered and fully appreciated once more. A simple, humble meal, consumed with mindful presence and full awareness, imparts a far deeper and more profound nourishment to your entire being than an elaborate, complex meal eaten amidst a state of mental agitation or hurried distraction. A simple walk, undertaken with conscious awareness and an open heart, provides a far more profound and restorative replenishment for your soul than a complicated, meticulously constructed plan conceived in a state of anxious worry or mental strain. A consistent, simple spiritual practice, diligently repeated on a daily basis, opens far more profound inner doors and pathways to truth than a singular, dramatic, or elaborate ceremony performed only once. Your deepest being inherently thrives on consistency and regularity. Your sensitive nervous system craves and responds positively to a foundational sense of safety and security. And your open heart resonates most profoundly with genuine sincerity and authenticity. In its elegant essence, simplicity seamlessly provides and encompasses all three of these fundamental, vital needs for your integrated well-being. The awakened practice of deep inner listening profoundly replaces the outdated paradigm of external accumulation. The relentless pursuit of accumulation belongs to a bygone era, an age when truth was erroneously perceived as an external commodity to be acquired. In stark contrast, authentic listening emerges as the hallmark of an enlightened era, an age when truth is intimately recognized and deeply honored as an inherent, intrinsic aspect residing within your own being. To engage in profound inner listening means to consciously choose to sit in quietude, to anchor yourself in the rhythm of your breath, to gently soften the focus of your attention, and to intimately feel what your physical body subtly communicates, what your coherent heart profoundly confirms, and what your deepest inner knowing unequivocally reveals to you. This profound practice of receptive listening thus transforms into your primary, most reliable method for gathering authentic guidance and inner wisdom. And through the consistent cultivation of this listening, you progressively begin to live, act, and create from a far deeper, more expansive, and inherently coherent intelligence that transcends mere intellectual understanding. That which is profoundly lived and integrated in quiet, silent dedication eventually expresses itself eloquently and unmistakably through tangible demonstration. You gradually become a beacon whose very presence, without uttering a single word, implicitly teaches profound truths. You transform into an anchor whose unwavering steadiness silently facilitates healing and restoration in others. And you emerge as an embodiment whose luminous clarity naturally extends an open invitation to inner discovery and alignment for all who encounter you. This, once again, is the powerful and sovereign lion's path unveiled in its fullness, embodying qualities that are robustly strong, impeccably clean, inherently worthy, profoundly gentle, and absolutely unshakable. Your very presence, your energetic field, inherently transforms into your most profound message to the world. And as this field clarifies and purifies, becoming truly immaculate, you will observe a fundamental and liberating shift in your deep-seated relationship with the very concept of power itself. You naturally cease the futile pursuit of security through brute force or outward control. Instead, you begin to uncover a far more profound and enduring sense of safety, one that blossoms through conscious surrender, through the radiant embrace of grace, and through an unwavering alignment with intrinsic truth that inherently outlives and transcends every ephemeral, shifting external structure or societal construct. Throughout the annals of history, humanity has relentlessly pursued a misguided form of security by grasping at power-interpreting power as absolute control, as undeniable domination, as decisive victory, or as the sheer capacity to forcibly dictate and engineer desired outcomes. Yet, any form of power predicated upon sheer force or compulsion invariably invites a dangerous escalation. For the raw energy of force inherently attracts its counterpart. One domineering power invariably calls forth another, trapping existence in an unending, wearisome cycle of contention and reaction. This fundamental truth explains why so many of the entrenched structures and institutions you observe in the world today appear utterly depleted and exhausted. They are meticulously constructed upon the deeply flawed premise that true security can be artificially manufactured or engineered through stringent control and pervasive oversight. Your innate soul, however, intuitively recognizes a far more profound and elemental truth, one that resonates beyond superficial appearances. Genuine security attains an unwavering and stable foundation only when your entire being consciously reestablishes its connection to the ultimate, universal source of all existence. The hallmark of authentic spiritual maturity is the clear-eyed recognition that no amount of external power, no worldly influence, no fleeting circumstance can ever truly guarantee the essence of life itself. Rather, true security emerges organically from an unshakable inner stability, a profound coherence that steadfastly endures, utterly unperturbed, even amidst the most dramatic and turbulent shifts in external circumstances. Crucially, this transformative realization does not imply a descent into passivity or inertness. On the contrary, it signifies that your actions flow forth from a place of deep, conscious alignment with your true self and the divine, rather than being impulsively driven by panic or reactive fear. It means your personal boundaries are established and maintained with unwavering clarity and conviction, born of self-awareness, rather than being erected as defensive walls stemming from deep-seated fear or insecurity. And most beautifully, it means your contributions and service to the world emanate purely from a wellspring of boundless love and genuine desire, rather than from a burdensome sense of obligation or external pressure. This shift radically transforms your relationship with conflict itself. Conflict loses its insidious power to define you, to perturb your inner peace, precisely because your essential center, your core being, remains profoundly intact and unyielding. Grace, that divine flow of effortless assistance, arises naturally when the striving of ego-driven effort finally ceases, and the profound wisdom of silence becomes clearly audible and deeply felt. Effort, in this context, is simply the often futile attempt to quell or resolve an inherent spiritual hunger through sheer mental striving, through endless intellectual machinations. Silence, on the other hand, stands as the pure, open doorway through which the source itself gently, yet powerfully, reveals its infinite presence and wisdom. When you consciously soften your relentless efforts, allowing them to subside, your entire system becomes exquisitely receptive. This very receptivity, far from being a weakness, is a fundamental form of profound strength. Observe a majestic lion at rest. It lies in repose with an inherent, vigilant alertness. That deep rest is not a sign of weakness. It is, in fact, an absolute demonstration of its mastery over its own being and environment. Likewise, your cultivated capacity to rest in unwavering presence, to simply be, effortlessly transforms into a form of power that far surpasses any brute force. It actively invites divine guidance to arrive with crystalline clarity. It allows for perfect timing to clarify precisely when and how to act. And it ensures that your very next step feels not just correct, but utterly clean and aligned with your highest truth. Genuine integration subtly dissolves distortion and discord without the need for aggressive confrontation. While confrontation can indeed be a useful tool, even a necessary one, when clearly defined boundaries absolutely demand it, it often carries the unintended consequence of keeping you inextricably entangled with precisely what you have already outgrown or transcended. Integration, by contrast, means you consciously absorb the inherent lesson, intelligently reclaim your scattered energy from the situation, and then powerfully move forward on your path with an enhanced, unwavering coherence. You wisely cease to feed that which is already collapsing of its own accord. You stop fruitlessly debating concepts or situations that have evidently lost their season and relevance. You stop constructing your very identity as a reactive response to external distortion or negativity. Instead, you become elegantly and intrinsically defined by your deep, unwavering alignment. Peace emerges organically and undeniably through this profound alignment. And this alignment, while seemingly tranquil, carries within it a silent, potent ferocity. Peace is emphatically not fragility. Peace, in its truest essence, is strength in its most refined and potent form. Peace is the unwavering refusal to abandon your sacred center, no matter the external tumult. Peace is the profound steadiness that effortlessly remains within you even when external provocation relentlessly tries to unsettle your core. Peace is the sublime ability to speak your authentic truth without a trace of cruelty. Peace is the profound ability to articulate a clean, unequivocal yes and an equally clean, resolute no. Peace is the lion's medicine calm, discerning eyes a steady, unhurried breath and unbending, strong spine and a tender, open heart. Surrender, ironically, stabilizes precisely where force invariably destabilizes. Surrender is not a collapse into weakness or resignation. Rather, surrender is the conscious, courageous release of false control, the letting go of illusory grip, so that a higher, more benevolent order can effortlessly move through you and orchestrate your life. When you deeply surrender, your nervous system gently relaxes its grip, your often turbulent mind quietly settles, your heart profoundly opens to new possibilities, your intuition clarifies with luminous insight, and your entire life organically begins to reorganize itself in exquisite harmony. This profound reorganization is often experienced as precise guidance arriving from deep within your being, as astonishing synchronicity in events, as unexpected openings appearing on your path, as perfect timing aligning effortlessly, and as abundant support manifesting in ways that feel uniquely precise and perfectly tailored to your needs. Coherence, thus, becomes the new, undeniable authority in your life. Authority profoundly shifts from external structures and societal mandates to your inner, unshakable alignment with truth. This fundamental shift does not, in any way, diminish the value of continuous learning. Rather, it places learning in sacred service of embodied, lived truth, making knowledge a tool for deeper integration, not mere accumulation. You begin to measure the validity of guidance not by its popularity or external validation, but by its intrinsic resonance within your soul. You begin to measure the wisdom of your decisions not by fear of potential consequences, but by their inherent coherence with your deepest values and purpose. You begin to live authentically as a being deeply and consciously anchored in the universal source of all creation. This transformative process profoundly prepares you for the final, ultimate foundation, the living, undeniable recognition of the I within you. It is the self-completeness that beautifully emerges when your very identity deeply roots itself in the source, an entirely new, authentic way of living that naturally and effortlessly flows from this profound connection. Recognizing this ultimate I as your true, eternal identity fully restores your inherent self-completeness. This I is not the fleeting ego, nor is it merely a collection of perceptions or beliefs. It is the living, vibrant center of your being. It is the unwavering presence that remains when all roles and masks gently soften and fall away. It is the pure awareness that silently witnesses every thought, the silent core closer to you than even your own breath. When you recognize this essential I within you, you begin to intimately feel that the source is not some distant abstract entity. The source becomes immediate, profoundly intimate, interwoven with your very essence. The source becomes your very lifeblood, your existence itself. This profound recognition fundamentally changes your posture in the world, because your sense of self and your standing no longer depend on external confirmation, validation, or approval. When the source is recognized as residing within, the persistent, nagging feeling of needing something external to complete you begins to gently, yet completely, dissolve. You still engage in rich relationships, still deeply immerse yourself in the world, still create, still build, still learn and grow. But the frantic, anxious reaching out softens. You cease seeking life in external forms and instead begin profoundly expressing life through form. This is the original divine model returning, but now in its mature, embodied form. You become a pure conduit of goodness. You become an undeniable emitter of boundless love. Your personal life itself transforms into a living prayer, a constant offering. Insecurity, far from being a detriment, becomes a powerful catalyst in this sacred process, because insecurity loosens your attachment to false supports and illusory certainties. When external structures inevitably seem unreliable or crumble, your inner hunger for what is truly real intensifies exponentially. That hunger is sacred, it is not a flaw. It relentlessly drives you toward deep communion. It impels you toward consistent spiritual practice. It leads you toward the silent, profound discovery that the only lasting, ultimate security is the unwavering security of the source, lived and embodied inwardly. You begin to clearly see that every season of doubt, every period that removed your external certainty, was simultaneously a sacred season that invited your profound awakening. Grace unfolds not as a reward for effort, but as an inherent recognition of your true nature. Grace is not a payment for being good enough. Grace is the natural, effortless flow that arrives when your energetic field becomes truly receptive and your identity aligns intrinsically with universal truth. Grace is the profound ease that arises when you cease forcing and begin gently allowing. Grace is the clear guidance that arrives precisely when you actively listen. Grace is the abundant support that appears unfailingly when you live authentically from your deep inner center. Grace is the silent, pervasive intelligence that draws to you precisely what serves your highest unfolding, sometimes through unexpected doors, sometimes through simple, perfect timing, sometimes through a chance conversation that arrives exactly when it is most needed. Life naturally reorganizes itself around lived truth. When you truly embody your inner knowing, your daily habits begin to align effortlessly. Your relationships clarify with ease. Your work begins to reflect your deepest values. Your home begins to carry a palpable peace. Your body begins to communicate its needs more clearly. Your creativity flows more freely and abundantly. Your service to others begins to feel genuinely joyful. And your entire day begins to feel profoundly guided. This comprehensive reorganization is not some fleeting fantasy. It is the direct, tangible result of coherence becoming deeply stable and deeply embodied within you. Reality, in its essence, unfailingly responds to a stable, coherent signal. Therefore, demonstration of spiritual truth follows embodiment effortlessly, without struggle. This is the crucial difference between merely trying to make spiritual truth work for you and actually living as spiritual truth. When you live as it, when you become it, results arise naturally and gracefully. Opportunities miraculously appear, support materializes exactly when needed, and timing clarifies with pristine accuracy. You begin to intimately experience that the universal field responds far more powerfully to presence than to mere effort, and you become exquisitely skillful in cultivating and sustaining that presence. You learn to enter your silent center quickly and with ease. You learn to return to your heart's wisdom rapidly. You learn to let your mind serve your spirit rather than rule over it. You learn to act from a place of deep alignment rather than from frantic urgency. Humanity, collectively, is now entering a source-led life as a restored, vital foundation for existence. This is the profound shift. The collective consciousness begins to remember, deep within its core, that the deepest supply for all needs is within. The deepest guidance for all choices is within. The deepest security, the most unwavering safety is within. The deepest, most expansive love is within. This sacred remembrance does not, by any means, remove you from the world. On the contrary, it heals the world through the elevated frequency you embody and radiate. This remembrance does not diminish your human life. Instead, it profoundly dignifies your human life with purpose, with coherence, and with an overflowing grace. This remembrance ultimately restores you as a lion-hearted being, tender yet resolute, steady in purpose, crystal clear in vision, immensely strong in spirit, and perfectly aligned with your divine essence. So, let this profound transmission arrive as a heartfelt invitation to your very core. You already understand these truths deep within your being. Return to your sacred center. Remain steadfastly rooted in the living I within you. Cultivate deep communion through steady, consistent practice. Let your entire life express the authentic truth you recognize, and allow reality itself to profoundly reorganize around the elevated frequency you now embody. Your field already intuitively knows precisely how to do this. I eagerly await our next transmission, my dear friends. Until then, remain fierce in your love, unwavering in your truth. I'm Zan of Lyra. Rather, it gently arrives as a subtle yet undeniable preference for truths that are deeply felt and truly embodied, as a profound fatigue with the incessant clamor of mental noise, as an inherent longing for a quietude that carries genuine clarity instead of a hollow emptiness, and as a steadily growing inability to exist comfortably within narratives or belief systems that simply do not resonate at the deepest, most cellular level of one's being. These powerful, evolving sensations are not, by any means, symptoms of confusion or disorientation. On the contrary, they serve as unequivocal, clear indications that humanity's original, magnificent operating model is, in fact, steadily coming back online. As the profound pineal perception gradually reawakens within you, the very fabric of time begins to feel less rigid and linear. Your intuitive capacities sharpen effortlessly and with remarkable precision, and illuminating insights arrive in a manner that feels undeniably authentic and palpably real. Simultaneously, the heart center diligently restores an essential coherence, thereby safeguarding against the possibility that this newly expanded perception might fragment one's sense of identity or overwhelm the delicate balance of the nervous system. This intricate interplay is precisely why the heart center must necessarily awaken in tandem with a blossoming of inner vision, for perception, when devoid of true coherence, invariably leads to destabilization, whereas coherence, when lacking the expansive reach of perception, results in stagnation and a diminished existence. Indeed, the magnificent original human design absolutely mandated that both these faculties function in perfect, synchronized harmony to effectively maintain not only individual well-being, but also the delicate and essential planetary balance. When a sufficient number of individuals successfully stabilize and integrate this sacred union of heart and pineal within their own beings, Gaia's intricate grids respond organically and with profound grace. This occurs not because humans are engaging in grid work in the outdated conventional sense, but rather because truly coherent beings naturally and effortlessly transmit powerful, stabilizing frequencies through the very essence of their presence, the rhythm of their breath, the alignment of their posture, the integrity of their choices, and the conscious way in which they inhabit space. The living consciousness of the planet Earth instinctively recognizes coherence with the same unerring precision that a finely tuned musical instrument recognizes its own perfect pitch. And as this intrinsic coherence universally rises, any existing distortions and imbalances begin to gently soften and dissolve, without the need for any external force or arduous struggle. This fundamental truth illuminates why this grand restoration is unfolding in a silent, pervasive, and expansive manner, rather than through isolated, singular, or dramatic events. For the planetary grid does not respond to the superficiality of spectacle. Instead, it is exquisitely attuned and profoundly responsive to the power of consistent, unwavering coherence. This comprehensive reinstallation further clarifies why external authorities, along with rigid, antiquated belief systems and inherited, often oppressive structures, are increasingly perceived as utterly incompatible with humanity's evolving consciousness. This is because the original, pristine model for existence does not organize life around the principles of blind obedience or rigid hierarchy, but rather revolves entirely around the organic forces of authentic resonance and natural alignment. Within a truly coherent system, the intrinsic nature of truth requires no external imposition or forceful declaration, precisely because it becomes self-evident and undeniable through direct, lived experience. Furthermore, authentic guidance requires no intermediaries or external arbiters, as it arises organically and spontaneously from within the profound depths of the individual's own embodied energetic field. Far from isolating individuals from one another, this profound shift, in fact, magnificently restores a state of genuine communion. For within this new paradigm, connection emerges as authentically pure and self-contained, rather than being conditional or dependent upon external factors. The magnificent return of this original model also illuminates, with crystal clarity, why so many individuals are presently being guided away from the pervasive distractions of overstimulation, the deluge of excessive information, and the often superficial realm of performative spirituality. This is fundamentally because the human nervous system must meticulously maintain a state of profound receptivity for genuine coherence to fully stabilize. And it is an undeniable truth that true coherence simply cannot thrive or take root amidst a landscape of constant interruption and relentless external demands. In this reawakening, silence once again becomes profoundly fertile, pregnant with potential. Quietude transforms into a rich source of deep information, and the simple act of presence becomes powerfully instructive once more. These unfolding phenomena are not, by any means, steps backward or regressions into a less evolved state. On the contrary, they represent magnificent restorations of a far deeper, innate intelligence that was always and inevitably meant to profoundly guide the unfolding tapestry of human life. As this pristine, original configuration continues to anchor itself ever more deeply and firmly within Gaia's living grids, the fundamental human role undergoes a profound and necessary transformation, evolving from a manager attempting to exert control to a willing participant in the grand cosmic dance, from an external controller to a clear and open conduit, and from a perpetual seeker of external answers to an unwavering stabilizer of intrinsic coherence. And the true, majestic leonine strength characteristic of this current phase resides not in forceful assertion or overt dominance, but rather in an unshakable inner steadiness, in the profound willingness to remain vibrantly present and centered even as the external world profoundly reorganizes itself, and in the quiet, resolute courage to place one's absolute trust in an inner intelligence that does not ever shout, make aggressive demands, or rush impatiently. This, then, is the profound manner in which the ancient, primordial model makes its triumphant return not merely as a nostalgic memory or a theoretical concept, but as a vibrantly lived, tangible reality. And this, consequently, is how Gaia herself breathes more freely and with greater ease once again, responding not to strenuous human effort, but to the graceful, inherent power of alignment. Furthermore, this significant shift also unequivocally marks a powerful movement away from the often exhaustive and divisive act of defending personal interpretations. Certainly, interpretation played an essential and foundational role in the earlier stages of human development, precisely because your species learned to navigate its complex realities through the intricate process of creating and assigning meaning. However, interpretation subtly transforms into a restrictive cage when it becomes inextricably fused with one's very identity. Indeed, a great many of humanity's protracted conflicts throughout history have, in essence, been deeply rooted in clashes of interpretation, and the process of interpretation, left unchecked, possesses the capacity to multiply endlessly, creating infinite variations and disagreements. In contrast, the profound clarity of direct, unmediated experience decisively ends the perpetual need for endless interpretation, precisely because genuine realization arrives not as a mental construct, but as a deep, resonant inner settling within the core of your being. This fundamental principle is why authentic spiritual truth has always, without exception, invited dedicated practice and deep embodiment over mere outward performance. For a truth that is genuinely lived requires no grand debate stage for validation. Instead, it inherently creates a unique frequency signature to which all of life organically and infallibly responds. When you courageously and consistently live in alignment with what you intrinsically know to be true, your entire existence naturally transforms into the message itself, unfolding with exquisite grace and utter effortlessness. Within the unfolding of this significant shift, you will begin to discern, with increasing clarity, precisely when something truly carries the vibrant essence of life. For life itself possesses a distinct flavor, an inherent warmth, and an unmistakable, undeniable coherence that speaks volumes without words. You will begin to intuitively feel and recognize when words, despite their impressive articulation or grand pronouncements, carry a profound emptiness. You will likewise sense when a so-called truth fundamentally demands your fear or anxiety in order to sustain its own existence. And you will acutely perceive when a particular narrative or story actively seeks to consume your attention, treating it as a vital form of sustenance. This refined and heightened sensitivity, therefore, is nothing less than your profound awakening, your destined return to an original operating model where ultimate truth is recognized purely through the undeniable sensation of resonance, where authentic guidance is received effortlessly through the power of pure, unadulterated presence, and where your sacred inner relationship with the boundless source energy becomes absolutely central and foundational to your existence, rather than remaining merely superficial or ornamental. Therefore, the opening chapter of this vital transmission can be understood as fundamentally simple, profoundly steady, and radiating with the crystal-clear lucidity characteristic of the Lyran Collective's wisdom. The momentous shift has manifested precisely because your innermost being, at a profound cellular level, reached a state of readiness to courageously discover and embody truth from within its own sacred depths. and simultaneously, the collective consciousness reached a parallel state of readiness to undertake this very same transformative journey. A magnificent new phase of existence truly begins at the very moment you consciously cease your outward search for certainty in external validations and, instead, earnestly begin cultivating the inner conditions that allow the living, undeniable truth to organically reveal itself from within your own luminous being. This, then, is the grand doorway to Source-led, discovery-in expansive realm where your life transforms from a perpetual quest for external explanations into a profound journey of living authentically from the silent, all-knowing center that has always resided within you. And from that sacred, silent center, the Earth's original, magnificent model for existence begins its gradual re-emergence, unfolding gently and subtly at first, yet eventually advancing with the irrefutable inevitability of the breaking dawn, the pristine, divinely designed model for truly embodied life upon this planet. This profound model was originally conceived and designed for effortless flow, for deep, authentic communion, and for a state of inherent alignment that intrinsically and harmoniously organizes all forms of manifestation. Within this re-emerging model, the concept of sublime manifests as a natural, organic expression of one's core being, rather than a coveted prize painstakingly pursued through the grasping for external attention. Authentic guidance is a profound, inner presence you diligently cultivate and nurture, rather than an external verdict or judgment you anxiously chase after. And genuine realization is a living, vibrant frequency that intrinsically shapes the very fabric of your daily existence, rather than a distant future outcome you must painstakingly negotiate or bargain for. You were intrinsically shaped and divinely designed to live as a clear, unobstructed conduit of life's boundless energy, not as a desperate, grasping receiver constantly seeking its fragments. This fundamental distinction changes the very essence of everything, for it magnificently restores your rightful, sovereign posture within the cosmic order, a being that naturally radiates its light, blesses its surroundings, authentically expresses its truth, generously gives of itself, and deeply embodies its essence such a being inherently carries, within its very own energetic field, the profound capacity to generate a powerful, living coherence to which all of reality, without exception, unfailingly responds. When you grasp this profound truth, you will inevitably recognize the intricate and magnificent spiritual mechanics that are perpetually at play within the cosmos. You will understand that life itself inherently moves outward, originating from the core of pure being. Consciousness, by its very nature, is fundamentally generative, and your unique, authentic presence is intrinsically creative. Consequently, your innermost state of being transforms into your most potent and direct contribution to the energetic field you consciously inhabit, and that field, in turn, unfailingly responds in kind. This fundamental principle perfectly clarifies why the act of passively waiting for life to simply arrive has always inherently felt burdensome and heavy, whereas the act of actively expressing life's vibrant essence has consistently felt profoundly liberating and expansive. Your intricate nervous system intuitively recognizes this truth. Your awakened heart intimately understands it, and the very rhythm of your sacred breath attests to this undeniable knowing. The pristine original model extends a beautiful and profoundly simple invitation for guidance. Begin precisely where you are in this very moment. Allow your sacred interconnection to the boundless source to gently yet firmly settle within you. and from that settled space, then allow the intrinsic goodness and divine light to effortlessly flow outward, radiating through your perceptive eyes, manifesting through your conscious choices, extending through your focused attention, expressing itself as your inherent kindness, embodying your quiet courage, revealing itself through your unwavering honesty, solidifying as your impeccable integrity, manifesting through your unique artistic expression, and demonstrating your profound devotion. In the ancient Lyran remembrance, this graceful, outward flow is not understood as a moral command or an imposed obligation. Rather, it is recognized as a fundamental, inherent natural law of the universe. Consider a seed. It does not desperately beg the soil for sustenance. Instead, it inherently carries within its very core the complete, intricate pattern of its unfolding, and through its silent, intrinsic intelligence, it naturally attracts precisely what serves its destined growth. Your own luminous being operates in this identical, magnificent manner. When you choose to live your life primarily as a seeker of external supports and validations, you inevitably direct your precious energetic essence outward into a continuous cycle of pursuit, the quest for external proof, and endless comparison with others. However, when you authentically live as a sovereign being deeply aligned with the boundless source, your vital energy naturally returns to your sacred inner center. And from that coherent center, it effortlessly attracts precisely the right movements, the perfect timing, the most harmonious relationships, the optimal openings, and the exact nourishment required for your highest good. This, then, is the grand return of the organic, inherent model for life. Your entire existence gracefully reorganizes itself when your sacred inner center assumes its rightful, primary position. This magnificent return does not, in any way, necessitate a rejection or abandonment of the material world. On the contrary, it profoundly restores the material world to its rightful, sacred role within the cosmic design. Form, in this aligned state, transforms into a collaborative partner, a reflective mirror, a sacred container, and an expansive canvas for your creative expression. Form inherently responds to the vibrant energy of coherence. Indeed, form itself becomes immeasurably lighter when you cease demanding that it bear the immense weight of your entire identity. Your living space transforms into a genuine sanctuary when you infuse it with your conscious, loving presence. Your work, whatever its nature, gains profound meaning when you bring the full force of your coherent being to it. Your physical body becomes an ever wiser guide and confidant when you humbly listen to it as a living, sacred instrument of truth, rather than treating it as a mere machine to be forced or controlled. And your relationships, both intimate and casual, achieve a luminous clarity when you relate from the expansive space of your heart, rather than from a pervasive hunger to be completed or fulfilled by another. As this pristine, original model progressively reactivates within the collective consciousness, the very sensation of effort begins to register as dense, heavy, and often cumbersome. You will instinctively begin to perceive the profound difference between the grace of flowing effort and the exhausting nature of straining effort. Flowing effort, in its purest form, carries a clean, pristine energy. It manifests as a graceful movement that feels inherently guided and orchestrated from within your deepest being. In stark contrast, straining effort registers as a desperate, often futile attempt to control external outcomes through sheer force and arduous struggle. The original, magnificent model does not, by any means, eliminate the necessity of action. Rather, it profoundly transforms action into an authentic, organic expression of your being. It graciously invites you to move forward from a place of deep alignment, to create from a vibrant, pure frequency, and to build your reality from intrinsic, unwavering coherence. You become, in your very essence, the living vibration of precisely what you wish to experience. And consequently, life itself responds to you with perfect synchronicity, as if recognizing its own sacred, intrinsic language within your being. Simplicity becomes deeply nourishing in this phase. Simplicity, you must understand, is not a form of deprivation or a lack. It is, rather, the pure essence of crystal clear clarity. As your sacred interconnection to Source strengthens and deepens, your appetite for material or energetic excess naturally begins to dissipate, precisely because excess is, more often than not, a superficial substitute for profound presence. You begin to genuinely value and seek out silence, for it is within quietude that the subtle inner signal is authentically restored. You begin to consciously appreciate fewer external stimuli, recognizing that a reduction in input allows for greater, more refined discernment. You will begin to gravitate towards and value one profound, consistent practice over 20 scattered or superficial attempts. For true embodiment and integration are invariably achieved through unwavering consistency and deep, heartfelt devotion. Your entire life begins to feel significantly less like an arduous performance for external approval and far more like a profound, authentic communion with all that is. It is at this pivotal juncture that the correct and harmonious relationship with external form becomes undeniably obvious. You cease to burden money with the impossible task of becoming your ultimate security. Instead, you gracefully allow money to resume its rightful role as a versatile and useful tool. You no longer demand that external status define your inherent worth. Instead, you consciously allow authentic service to become the wellspring of your profound meaning and purpose. You cease to implore certainty to be the foundation of your inner peace. Instead, you embrace and allow your vibrant, unwavering presence to become your genuine and eternal peace. You stand, then, embodying the majestic posture of a lion deeply centered in your truth, exquisitely receptive to subtle energies, inherently strong yet profoundly tender, and radiating with luminous clarity. You fully recognize and embrace your sacred role as a powerful frequency emitter. Consequently, the world around you begins to respond with effortless grace, presenting openings and opportunities that feel profoundly guided and divinely orchestrated, rather than externally forced or manipulated. Indeed, the very consciousness of Earth herself responds with palpable recognition to this magnificent return to ancient, enduring land, the life-giving waters, the whispers of the winds, the transformative fire, and the subtle, intricate consciousness grids woven throughout the planet's being. All these aspects respond in kind to coherent beings, precisely because coherent beings intrinsically resonate with the planet's own pristine, original harmony. Have you ever profoundly experienced this sensation while standing beneath a vast, starlit night sky, feeling something deep within your chest gently soften in profound recognition? Have you felt this when making heartfelt contact with an ancient tree and your incessant thoughts gracefully quiet into a profound stillness? Have you intimately known this when sitting by the expansive, rhythmic sea and the tumultuous inner noise within your being gradually settles into an abiding peace? Earth consistently responds to the power of authentic presence, precisely because Gaia herself is a living, profoundly intelligent, and exquisitely responsive consciousness. The magnificent return of this original, pristine model intrinsically sets the sacred stage for the unfolding of the next grand shift. Consequently, the very role of the human mind undergoes a fundamental and necessary transformation, for the mind was never inherently designed to unilaterally lead or govern the entirety of one's being. Instead, the mind graciously assumes its rightful place as a devoted servant of higher truth, rather than attempting to act as the ultimate ruler or arbiter of reality. And this pivotal change, in its profound implications, liberatingly frees humanity to access and experience an entirely new, elevated level of crystalline clarity. Undoubtedly, your mind has served you diligently and, indeed, exceptionally well throughout your journey. It has masterfully acquired language, discerned intricate patterns, cataloged memories, strategized for survival, performed astute analysis, and developed complex strategies. It generously bestowed upon you the remarkable abilities to build structures, meticulously plan, invent novel concepts, effectively communicate, and skillfully navigate through multifaceted complexities. Yet, paradoxically, the inherent genius and remarkable capabilities of the mind transmute into a significant limitation when it attempts to usurp the role of being the sole, unquestionable authority on ultimate truth. The mind possesses the capacity to name and categorize a thing without ever truly touching its profound, living essence. The mind can meticulously repeat ancient scripture without ever actually tasting or experiencing the vibrant, living reality that the scripture authentically points towards. The mind can diligently gather external evidence without ever deeply entering into a state of genuine, intimate communion. This fundamental distinction is precisely why the mind begins to feel increasingly less reliable and trustworthy during this transformative passage. Your entire being is now gracefully opening itself to perceive and integrate a vast new bandwidth of reality, one that inherently requires far more than mere intellectual thought alone. Teachings, sacred texts, energetic transmissions, established structures indeed, even the most beautiful and inspiring words received through moments of genuine inspiration all serve as crucial gateways, guiding you forward rather than being the ultimate destinations themselves. Words possess the remarkable capacity to gently introduce you to the general direction of truth. Words can lovingly position you right beside the very practice that holds the key to revealing truth. Words can even carry a potent, vibrational energy that profoundly awakens your deepest, inherent remembrance. Yet, it is vital to understand that words, when isolated, cannot solely deliver true realization. Genuine realization, instead, arrives with undeniable clarity when you profoundly discover within your very own being the vibrant, living substance that the words, in their descriptive attempts, are merely pointing towards. This, then, explains why a life sustained purely by borrowed quotations becomes increasingly unsatisfying and hollow as you spiritually mature. While a powerful quotation can certainly inspire, offer solace, and provide momentary guidance, life itself, in its profound essence, inherently demands full embodiment, and genuine embodiment, in turn, absolutely necessitates direct, unmediated experience. During this significant phase of awakening, you will begin to acutely perceive the profound difference between merely intellectually agreeing with a truth and authentically embodying and living that truth. Agreement, by its very nature, remains a purely mental construct. Living, however, is a deep, cellular experience that permeates your entire being. Mere mental agreement typically resides solely within the confines of the head. In contrast, authentic living permeates and moves dynamically through your entire intricate nervous system. The expansive chambers of your heart, the sacred rhythm of your breath, the conscious decisions you make, and indeed, the very pulse and flow of your daily existence. For countless centuries, many enlightened beings have eloquently spoken words of profound truth, and countless others have admired and revered these true words. Yet, despite this, humanity continued its relentless search. This perpetual quest persisted precisely because words were held and treated as abstract ideas or intellectual concepts, rather than being deeply integrated as a lived, embodied identity. The fundamental change now unfolding imperatively calls for a far deeper, more profound internalization of truth. Your entire being is progressively becoming ready for truth to manifest as an undeniable, direct experience rather than remaining merely an abstract concept. It is for this vital reason that the practice of meditation assumes a central and paramount importance during this current passage. Meditation meticulously trains and refines the innate faculty within you that is inherently capable of receiving truth directly and without intermediary. Meditation is emphatically not a performance for external validation. Meditation is instead a profound act of allowing. Meditation is a graceful surrender to the power of pure, unadulterated presence. Meditation is a sacred return to the eternal now. Ultimately, meditation is the gentle, unwavering, and consistent practice of consciously turning one's attention away from the incessant clamor of the loudest, most insistent thoughts and redirecting it toward the expansive, silent awareness that naturally remains when all thought gracefully quiets. Within that profound, expansive awareness, something truly magnificent begins to reveal itself, gently and without any external force. Your innate, intuitive, spiritual faculty gloriously awakens. The subtle, discerning inner ear of your heart lovingly opens. The delicate, profound vision of your inner energetic field achieves luminous clarity. Your entire being and system thus become exquisitely capable of receiving authentic guidance that arrives not as an intellectual argument or proposition, but as a direct, undeniable knowing. As the practice of meditation deepens and integrates within your being, the exquisite experience of true communion becomes effortlessly accessible. Communion, in its profound essence, is a vibrant, living exchange characterized by an inherent inner sweetness, a gentle tenderness, a calm, unwavering sense of effortless flow, and a deep, undeniable inner knowing of being met simultaneously by something that is both infinitely vast and incredibly intimate. This authentic communion requires no external drama or performative theatrics. Instead, it naturally and gracefully arrives as a direct, organic result of consistent, unwavering, and heartfelt presence. Within the sacred space of communion, profound guidance may manifest in various forms. It could arrive as clear, resonant words, as subtle yet potent impressions, or even as an expansive wave of pure peace that instantly reorganizes and realigns your entire perception of reality. This profound state of communion reveals, with undeniable clarity, that you are not separate or eternally alone, but rather an integral, cherished part of a vast, interconnected tapestry of existence. You reside in the singular truth of your own existence, recognizing that your very essence is permeated by the divine source. From this profound inner space, you start to discern an internal conversation, one that resonates deeply with a sense of rightness and harmony. Consequently, you come to understand that authentic insights and the most profound truths manifest as a deep, vibrational accord within your soul, rather than being intellectual victories won through argumentation or dispute. Mere words, devoid of internal assimilation and personal experience, often remain hollow and disconnected. It is a common observation that numerous individuals intellectually grasp the concept of an intrinsic unity with the ultimate source, yet their daily lives frequently reflect a pervasive sense of separation. Similarly, the intellectual understanding of abundance often coexists with a lived reality steeped in perceived scarcity or deprivation. And while many comprehend the profound nature of love, their actions and experiences may betray a belief that love is a finite resource, difficult to access or maintain. This disjunctionist chasm between intellectual understanding and experiential reality is not to be misinterpreted as a moral inadequacy or a personal failing. Rather, it represents an inherent and essential phase of spiritual development. This crucial gap progressively diminishes and eventually closes through consistent, lived practice, through an ongoing journey of profound inner discovery, and crucially, through the steadfast act of staying with one's truth. Staying signifies a deliberate and continuous commitment to allowing the essential truth to reside and flourish within the deepest core of your being. It means actively permitting this truth to consistently shape the focus of your attention, to intrinsically inform every choice you make, and to ultimately become your default, natural posture in the world. The often unsettling discomfort that arises when your rational mind begins to relinquish its familiar grip on certainty is not a setback, but a powerful indicator of profound inner growth. In these moments, the mind is actively disengaging from its former position of absolute authority, beginning a crucial process of learning humility. It is, in essence, being retrained to serve the far more expansive and profound knowing that emanates from the very core of your integrated being. This profound release from previous mental constraints may initially manifest as a momentary sensation of weightlessness, a feeling akin to floating adrift, as long-held, familiar anchors of external validation and fixed beliefs begin to gently loosen their grip. However, in this very process, a new and profoundly more stable anchor swiftly takes form. Unwavering presence emerges as your unshakable foundation, grounding you firmly in the eternal now. Your heart, with its inherent wisdom and capacity for coherence, transforms into your infallible compass, unerringly pointing you towards your authentic path. In your intuitive faculty, that subtle, inner knowing blossoms into your most trusted and insightful guide. No longer tasked with ultimate authority, the mind gracefully transforms into an exquisite and versatile instrument, serving as your dedicated translator of inner impulses, your meticulous organizer of complex thoughts, and your primary instrument for outward expression. It evolves into a skilled craftswoman of language, articulating the ineffable and a discerning builder of forms, creating structures and realities that are consistently guided and informed by your deepest, authentic inner truth. Consider the majestic lion. It does not engage in incessant, anxious cerebration to maintain its inherent strength and regal bearing. Instead, A lion embodies its power through a profound sense of intrinsic presence, rooted in its every breath, in its confident posture, and in an immediate, undeniable knowing that requires no complex analysis. Your true being is, in fact, in the process of reclaiming and returning to this very elemental, untamed, and deeply grounded kind of strength, where power emanates from a place of quiet, self-assured authenticity. Thus, the mind, now refined and harmonized, evolves into an exceptionally beautiful and potent tool when wielded by the unwavering wisdom of a coherent heart. This crucial internal reordering serves as your direct preparation for the subsequent grand passage in humanity's evolutionary phase, where the reliance on external consensus naturally dissipates, and a sophisticated, intuitive discernment arises to become the fundamental new literacy of an awakening humanity. As the profound nature of truth transitions from an external concept to an inwardly realized, embodied understanding, the collective adherence to consensus inevitably and organically begins to loosen its grip. This transformative shift should by no means be interpreted as a failure or regression on humanity's part, quite the contrary. It is an undeniable and vital sign of profound collective maturation and evolutionary advancement. In humanity's earlier stages of development, the mechanism of consensus indeed served a critically important purpose, offering readily available and universally accepted shared reference points that help to orient and stabilize nascent societies. However, these collective reference points progressively diminish in their vital importance as individuals increasingly embark upon the journey of cultivating a direct, personal, and unmediated relationship with the ultimate source of all existence. A profound societal paradigm shift occurs, transitioning from a reliance on external consensus to an alignment based on internal resonance, precisely at the moment when authentic inner guidance becomes widely accessible and deeply trusted by its members. Within the context of this transformative shift, the act of seeking external agreement or validation diminishes significantly in its importance, superseded by the paramount value of internal coherence. Similarly, outward performance, how one appears or achieves in the world, becomes secondary to the deep and consistent state of inner harmony. Furthermore, the once dominant art of persuasion, with its efforts to sway external opinions, becomes far less relevant than the powerful, self-evident truth of an aligned and coherent inner state. Your entire internal system, now finely attuned, begins to intuitively recognize the presence of truth not through intellectual analysis, but by the profound way it peacefully settles and integrates within your being. It is recognized by how it effortlessly clarifies and deepens your breath, bringing a sense of expansion and ease. It is further validated by how it gently yet profoundly restores a steady, unwavering rhythm to your heart, calming any inner agitation and fostering a deep sense of peace. For each of you, the cultivation of profound discernment is rapidly emerging as the singular, central, and indispensable skill. It is crucial to understand that genuine discernment is not synonymous with suspicion, nor does it equate to a skeptical or distrustful outlook. Instead, true discernment is a highly refined and cultivated sensitivity, meticulously trained and honed through a sustained and conscious state of presence. This exquisitely developed discernment grants you the innate capacity to intimately sense and differentiate between energies that intrinsically carry life force, vitality, and expansion, and those that harbor distortion, contraction, or untruth. It allows you to keenly perceive what actively expands your inner coherence and what, conversely, tends to fragment or dissipate it. Ultimately, It is the faculty that enables you to clearly identify what genuinely aligns you with the universal source and what instead threatens to pull you into debilitating mental turbulence, confusion, or disconnection. True discernment does not necessitate engaging in or triumphing over intellectual arguments. It transcends such lower frequency interactions entirely. Instead, discernment profoundly invites you to cultivate and consistently inhabit a higher vibrational frequency, an inner state of being that inherently renders certain arguments and debates utterly irrelevant, for they simply cannot exist or gain traction within that elevated energetic sphere. When your entire being achieves a state of profound and unwavering coherence, a remarkable transformation occurs. Numerous external narratives, stories, and belief systems that once held a powerful sway over you begin to lose their inherent magnetism. This is because all magnetism, both inner and outer, invariably responds to and reflects the prevailing frequency of your internal state of being. At this advanced stage of evolutionary development, external systems of all kinds, be they established institutions, recognized experts, revered traditions, or even beloved communities, begin to progressively lose their capacity to unilaterally provide you with absolute certainty or ultimate truth. While these external frameworks can, and often do, continue to offer valuable knowledge, guidance, and indeed, much-needed support, the most profound and unshakable certainty invariably emerges from within, cultivated through deep, personal inner realization and direct knowing. This marks a pivotal and essential rebalancing of where true authority resides. Authority, in its most authentic and potent form, gracefully and firmly returns to be re-centered within the very core of your sovereign being. Crucially, this fundamental shift does not in any way negate or diminish the inherent value and importance of continuous learning. Rather, it profoundly transforms the very nature of learning, repositioning it from a process of mere information acquisition to a dynamic and deeply personal journey of verification, validated and sealed through direct, lived experience. In this awakened approach, you intuitively absorb that which genuinely resonates with your inner truth, diligently practice those principles and insights that align with your deepest self, and ultimately, you fully embody whatever vibrates in harmony with your core. As a direct consequence of this integrated process, your entire life itself transforms into an undeniable and living confirmation of these profound inner realizations. The very essence of spiritual truth, by its inherent nature, has consistently and resolutely resisted being confined or rigidly organized into any singular, final, or immutable form. This is precisely because truth itself is not a static concept, but a vibrant, living, and ever-unfolding reality, and consciousness, the medium through which we perceive it, is equally fluid, dynamic, and perpetually evolving. In contrast, any attempt at rigid, dogmatic organization endeavors to artificially freeze and codify the fluid, living essence of truth into a static, often inflexible system. However, truth, when authentically experienced, reveals itself not as a fixed doctrine, but as a continuous process of unfolding, an evolving relationship, and a profound, living communion with all that is. This inherent dynamism of truth profoundly explains why the most potent and transformative spiritual transmissions frequently emerge not from carefully engineered plans or intricate intellectual constructs, but are instead often simply spoken from a place of deep inner knowing, spontaneously arising from moments of profound meditation and heartfelt communion. rather than being the product of meticulous strategic planning. Consequently, truly awakened teaching consistently tends to place its primary emphasis on lived practice and direct experience, elevating it above rigid dogma or fixed creeds. This is because genuine practice inherently invites and facilitates personal discovery, and it is through this very process of individual discovery that authentic and lasting embodiment of truth is ultimately forged. Your personal spiritual trajectory, therefore, progressively transforms from a pursuit primarily concerned with the accumulation of correct beliefs or dogmatic tenets, toward a more profound and fertile endeavor centered on cultivating the optimal inner and outer conditions conducive to direct, unmediated knowing and authentic insight. In earlier phases of collective human experience, external agreement often served as a proxy or even a substitute for genuine inner realization. Individuals would coalesce around shared statements of belief or common ideologies, finding a sense of collective belonging and identity within these constructs. However, the very nature of belonging itself is undergoing a profound and necessary evolution. Within the context of this awakened, higher frequency belonging, you come to deeply recognize and intimately experience your inherent oneness and inseparable connection with the boundless source of all creation. This profound realization of oneness, in turn, becomes your true and enduring sense of belonging, requiring no external validation. Consequently, all your external relationships are transformed. They no longer function as substitutes for this inherent connection, but rather become authentic, vibrant expressions and reflections of that foundational unity. This deep, inner realization naturally dissolves any lingering need to forcefully impose agreement or conformity upon others, for you begin to genuinely honor and respect each individual soul's unique and sacred unfolding rhythm. You understand with absolute clarity that authentic truth is something that can never be coerced or imposed from without. Instead, truth reveals its luminous presence organically and spontaneously when the inner hunger for it reaches a ripe stage of readiness, and when the capacity for deep, receptive inner listening truly blossoms. The faculty of discernment is profoundly cultivated and strengthened through the consistent practice of staying. This pivotal concept of staying reiterates the active commitment to allowing truth to consistently and organically permeate and reside within your very core. It entails permitting this truth to inform your daily posture and demeanor, to subtly yet powerfully shape every choice you make, and to ultimately become the pervasive, silent, and ever-present atmosphere of your inner world. Engaging in comparison invariably disperses and fragments your vital energetic reserves, primarily because the act of comparing consciously or unconsciously directs your attention outward, away from your own sovereign inner center. In profound contrast, the practice of staying naturally gathers and consolidates your precious energy precisely because it steadfastly places your focused attention squarely within the direct, lived, and intimate relationship you cultivate with the divine source itself. As you consistently maintain this practice of staying, your capacity for discernment sharpens and refines itself with remarkable effortlessness. You develop an intuitive sensitivity, allowing you to clearly perceive and feel precisely what truly supports and enhances your inner coherence, and conversely, what tends to dissipate or dissolve it. This deep inner work gently yet firmly places the profound mantle of responsibility directly into your own hands. However, it is essential to reframe your understanding responsibility. In this context, is not a burdensome weight or an onerous obligation. On the contrary, this elevated responsibility is the very essence of your inherent sovereignty, empowering you as the master of your own destiny. Your sovereign being thus assumes full and complete responsibility for its own internal alignment, for the diligent cultivation of its own spiritual practice, for the conscious nurturing of its own inner listening, and ultimately, for the authentic embodiment of its deepest truths. This, indeed, is the formidable yet serene lion's path to steadfastly remain anchored within the sanctity and integrity of your own energetic field, to diligently cultivate your own unique and profound communion with the divine, and most powerfully, to allow your entire life, in its authentic expression, to eloquently speak its own truth without needing external validation or explanation. When you consciously choose to live and operate from this profoundly grounded and coherent inner center, your very presence transforms. You cease to be a source of argument or persuasion, and instead become an open, luminous invitation. Those souls who are truly ready for this truth will instinctively feel its resonance within them. And those who are in the process of ripening will naturally and freely gravitate towards it, drawn by its inherent magnetism, without any need for external coercion or manipulation. The ongoing, inevitable collapse of outdated consensus structures is, in fact, an essential preparatory phase for the collective consciousness, leading humanity towards a much deeper and more nuanced understanding of the intricate mechanisms by which reality operates within the third density experiential field. In this awakened state, the profound and often unseen magnetism inherent in collective and individual beliefs becomes unmistakably visible and transparent. Simultaneously, the immense, creative, and transformative power of consciously embodied consciousness transitions from a theoretical concept to an undeniable, tangible force in shaping reality. The third density field, which constitutes our current shared reality, responds dynamically and precisely to consciousness through the intricate mechanism of expression. It is crucial to understand that expression here is far more encompassing than mere spoken or written words. True expression is, in essence, an energetic frequency made tangible and visible through the focused lens of your attention, the deliberate nature of your actions, the inherent power of your choices, and the profound quality of your sustained presence. This fundamental principle elucidates why your lived reality so consistently and precisely mirrors the actual frequency and state of your being, what you embody and transmit, rather than simply reflecting the superficial declarations of what you intellectually claim you desire or consciously state you want. Every aspect of your being is an active transmitter your personal energetic field radiates. Your intricate nervous system perpetually sends out signals. Your coherent heart center transmits powerful frequencies. Your deeply held beliefs broadcast their influence. Your subconscious fears communicate their patterns, and your heartfelt devotion radiates its unique energy. In essence, your entire inner posture, your overall state of being becomes a potent, living signal, and the surrounding environment responds directly, as if receiving explicit, undeniable instructions from your very core. Belief systems, whether individual or collective, maintain their persistent hold and influence precisely because a constant flow of energetic investment continues to be poured into them. This sustaining energy takes various forms. Latent tension acts as a powerful fuel. Intense emotional charge provides potent sustenance, and consistent repetition serves as a continuous energetic reinforcement. When a collective body of individuals collectively invests its focused attention and energetic engagement into a particular narrative or storyline, that narrative rapidly accrues energetic density and substance. It then solidifies, becoming a pervasive and influential lens through which all subsequent experiences are inevitably interpreted, and crucially, these interpretations, in turn, serve to powerfully reinforce and strengthen the very lens itself, creating a self-perpetuating cycle. This intricate process describes the fundamental magnetic cycle of creation and manifestation. It is a critical insight that for a belief to profoundly shape and manifest in lived experience is not a prerequisite for that belief to be an ultimate, objective truth. Rather, its potency stems from energetic investment, emotional charge, and active participation by those who hold it. Indeed, when a sufficient and consistent volume of focused energy is directed into any given energetic structure, whether it be a thought form, a belief, or a collective construct, that structure then begins to manifest and appear as a tangible, solid reality in the experiential field. This fundamental mechanism clarifies why the act of passively waiting for good things to manifest can often feel like an interminable, endless suspension. The very act of waiting, particularly when infused with an underlying expectation or longing, frequently carries an implicit inner posture of lack, a subconscious belief in absence. This posture of lack, in turn, becomes a powerful and consistent energetic signal that actively attracts and draws forth more experiences that precisely mirror and match that very sense of deprivation. The original, inherent model of creation, however, invites and necessitates a radically different inner posture and approach. It calls for you to actively allow goodness, in its purest form, to organically flow outward from the very core of your being. It encourages you to consciously express goodness in your immediate environment, to courageously offer justice wherever you are present, to radiate unconditional love from your essence, to speak authentic truth with unwavering conviction, to actively create beauty in your surroundings, and to selflessly serve precisely where you find yourself. This active, outward expression of inherent goodness is akin to casting bread upon the waters in a deeply lived and embodied form. By consistently expressing and radiating a particular frequency of being, you consciously transmit that signal, and the encompassing field of reality unerringly responds, mirroring back experiences that align with your energetic output. In this empowered state, you cease to passively beg for life's blessings or desperately yearn for experiences. Instead, you courageously step into the fullness of truly living life, actively creating and participating. Consequently, life itself begins to flow back to you, manifesting in myriad forms and circumstances that precisely match and reflect the elevated frequency and coherent state you have cultivated and embodied. Authentic demonstration, the powerful outward manifestation of inner truth, invariably arises through the profound process of embodiment. Embodiment signifies a transformative journey wherein truth transcends being a mere intellectual idea and becomes an integrated aspect of your very identity. It moves from an abstract concept to an ingrained, natural posture of being, from a distant aspiration to the palpable, lived atmosphere that surrounds and emanates from you. This principle clarifies precisely why mere verbal affirmation, when unaccompanied by genuine inner alignment, often feels hollow and devoid of true power. While affirmations can indeed serve a useful purpose in providing clear direction or intention, it is the profound act of embodiment that truly seals, stabilizes, and radiates the desired frequency into the field of reality. When you fully embody a state of profound peace, a cascade of transformative effects unfurls. Your choices naturally align with harmony. Your relationships deepen and become more coherent. Your sense of timing becomes exquisitely refined and synchronized. Your nervous system recalibrates into a state of calm resilience. And consequently, the entire energetic field around you responds in kind, reflecting your inner tranquility. Similarly, when you genuinely embody the frequency of abundance, an inherent and expansive generosity becomes your natural mode of expression. A steady and heartfelt gratitude flows effortlessly from within, and your creative faculties become vibrantly and actively engaged. In response to this powerful internal transmission, the external field faithfully mirrors back experiences of prosperity and richness. The universal field responds with such unerring precision because the signal being transmitted from your being achieves a state of profound and unwavering coherence. Fundamentally, reality itself acts as a direct and immediate mirror, reflecting not what is merely thought or desired, but rather the energetic truth of what is authentically lived and embodied. If you consistently dwell in a state of fear, your perception will inevitably filter reality, compelling you to notice and interpret abundant evidence that confirms and justifies your fear. If you habitually reside in suspicion, you will unfailingly uncover proof that validates your distrust.